Herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge von JazzrockTV hier aus der Kölner Südstadt.
Richtig.
Ja. Und wir leben nicht nur in der Kölner Südstadt, wir leben auch einmal im Jahr für ein paar Tage in Marktneukirchen.
Richtig.
Und da war es in erster Linie mal du, ne? Ich nur in Gedanken.
Ja, ne, diesmal musste ich alleine hin, leider. Du hast wieder viele Krokodilstränen verdrückt irgendwie.
Absolut.
Wir haben schon darüber berichtet, schaut euch die erste Folge, die wir schon über das famose Warwick BASS CAMP 2014 gebracht haben, an. Da gab es schon mal so einen ersten Überblick über das, was wir da so alles erlebt haben. Und heute machen wir den nächsten Teil, nämlich haben wir ein bisschen den Fokus auf einen der Bassisten, der da zu Gast war.
Ja, und das ist nicht irgendein Bassist, sondern der Bassist einer Band, die ihr alle kennt, der Bassist von Metallica.
Richtig.
Ja. Und das Highlight der Saison ist ja wohl die Gitarre und Bass. Ja. Und Georg mittendrin auf einem Foto mit einem schönen JazzrockTV-T-Shirt an, ja, neben Roberto Trujillo. Ja, Hammer. Ja. Sensationell.
Ja, also das war wirklich wir haben, wie gesagt, wenn ihr euch die alte Folge anguckt, die erste Folge dazu anguckt, eine super klasse Veranstaltung, nicht nur für Bassisten, sondern wir werdet mit Sicherheit noch mehr dazu auch hier sehen. Und da nochmal vielen Dank an die Kollegen von Gitarre und Bass, die uns bei dem Interview, was wir jetzt gleich sehen, auch unterstützt haben, denn das haben wir zusammen mit denen gemacht, mit Robert Trujillo. Der jetzt erstmal, sag ich mal, jetzt nicht so im Fusion Jazzrock-Fokus war für uns, aber bei dem Interview, und das werdet ihr gleich hören, fand ich sehr spannend, wie er erzählt hat, was für einen Background er hat, wo er hergekommen ist, wie er Musik gehört hat und wie er zum Musikmachen gekommen ist. Und dann später auch noch Geschichte Jaco Pastorius.
Und da ist natürlich der Anknüpfungspunkt zu Jazzrock. Ja. Aber jetzt erstmal Robert Trujillo bei dem Warwick BASS CAMP 2014 auf unserem JazzrockTV Interviewsofa zusammen mit den Kollegen von Gitarre und Bass. Schönes Interview, hier geht's erstmal los. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you here.
It's great to be here. Yeah. It's an amazing place, this Warwick zone. It's very cool.
So you arrived today? That correct?
Yeah, we actually arrived late last night and maybe got 2 hours sleep. At a certain point when you only get 2 hours sleep, it's like a dream. So it could be today for all I know. It feels like today. So.
Yeah. But the event here, listening to all the great guys, they also tell me, this is like a dream. All these bass players from all around the world.
Yeah.
Kind of a unique event.
It's very unique. They're players that I grew up listening to, and then they're players that are friends of mine that are here from the States. So to meet people like Chuck Rainey, and Chester Thompson, and then also to see my great friends like Norwood from Fishbone and Dave Elson. And also, I got friends coming in from other parts of Europe for the show tomorrow. is really exciting, So at the end of the day, it's really like a bass summit, but also like a festival / party that revolves around our instrument.
Yeah, cool. And we have Marian here from the magazine Gitarre and Bass. So
cool.
So you have never been in our magazine so far. So I would like to go back in history a little bit.
Sure.
Can you remember the first moment you ever heard a bass knowingly? Can you remember that?
The instrument?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was always moved and connected to funk music. So going back to the Motown sound and James Jamerson, that was probably my earliest direct influence. Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On" album was a huge influence of mine when I was a child, and also Sly and the Family Stone. Anything by Sly was heavy with me, and the OJ's "For the Love of Money" was a huge influence. Anthony Jackson, so. I at some point I started realizing that it was the bass that I was attracted to. That was the instrument that really got me going. For a while, I thought it was the drums. I thought it was the keyboards, and everyone wanted to be the electric guitar player, right? The lead guitarist. And then I started realizing that the bass was calling my name. My dad had a friend who had a hollow body bass guitar. It was a harmony bass. It was called. That was the brand, and it didn't work through an amp, but you could hear it because it was hollow body. So I had that for a year, and that's where I learned to do the C major scale and started practicing on that. So that was my first experience with the instrument.
And I read that your father was a flamenco guitar player.
My father played flamenco guitar as a hobby, and I remember as a baby, pretty much, like really, really young, that I think the first music I heard was him playing the flamenco, and also the Beatles, of course, So when I started playing the guitar, I didn't play with a pick. I was playing with my fingers already, because that's what I was used to seeing, was his technique with his fingers. And not even knowing what a bass was, I was just playing it like this.
So did you learn a lot from your father?
My dad was a huge influence in the sense that he was supportive. He helped me get my first bass guitar. In fact, I think the first couple bass guitars that I had, we didn't have a lot of money, so they didn't work well through amps. And what we would do is we would buy a bass that didn't work so well, and we would fix it, clean. We would like refinish it, repaint it. We'd make it beautiful, because maybe we would buy it for $20, and then we would strip all the paint off it, and then we'd sand it down, and we'd stain it, make it beautiful. And even though it still didn't work through an amp, you could always sell it for 3 times more, So you buy it for 20, and you could sell it for 150. And then we did that with a couple of amplifiers too, where we bought it for $50. We fixed it up, made it beautiful, because my dad was a carpenter. He was, he was working with wood. So that, you think back to growing up, and I say to myself, that was really important for me, because we didn't have money, so that's how we were able to get better instruments. And finally, my first real amplifier was an Ampeg, an old Ampeg, but it was so heavy that I actually had to sell it and get like a PV, which was a stupid thing to do, because the Ampeg was better, but the PV was new, and then I had I guess what would have been my first real bass was a Kramer with the aluminum neck. Before that, I had copies. I had a Gibson SG copy bass, and I had a Fender Jazz copy. But the Kramer was like, that was my first new instrument.
But your parents, they fully supported you to become a professional or musician, or they kind of holded you back, learn something serious?
It's kind of an interesting thing, because my parents were young enough to kind of feed me different styles of music as a child. And then at a certain point, my cousins were turning me on to like George Clinton and Parliament, and taking the funk a step beyond Motown, getting more into the hardcore James Brown stuff, getting more into Earth, Wind and Fire and the Ohio Players, and the funk that was a bit more dangerous, you could say. But then at the same time, I started discovering jazz fusion and jazz rock, and that really just kind of blew me away. When I started listening to that music and then going to see it live, that just kind of blew my mind. So different phases of my life, styles started to come in and influence me, even like Black Sabbath, and before that would have been Led Zeppelin, Rush. I used to play a lot of Rush when I was 16 years old. I'd learn La Via Strangiato and YYZ and all the hard songs, and we'd go play backyard parties. So Rush was cool because they were actually kind of like a fusion band with vocals, Yeah.
Cool.
All that influences which you had in your in younger age. In which aspects do they make you a better metal bass player?
Well, it's funny because I went to music school when I was 19. I went to a school called Dick Rose School of Music. Actually, that my father, he wanted me to go to college because he was a teacher. And I tried to go to Santa Monica City College for a year, and that didn't go so well. In fact, the only class that I passed and got an A in was jazz appreciation. Everything else I failed miserably. So at that point, he thought it was a good idea that I go to a music school. So I went to Dick Rose School of Music, which was primarily a jazz school. And the other school was a school called Musicians Institute of Technology in Hollywood, which is still going. It's a very popular school. And, you know, I mostly jammed at school. I met players from all over the world, some of which are still good friends of mine. And we used to just play a lot of funk jams, you know. Great teachers at the time, Max Bennett, who played with Joni Mitchell on a lot of those great albums. He was one of my teachers. And then I had a Brandino, Kevin was a teacher of mine. And then another gentleman by the name of Joel, I'm gonna blow his name, Joe Bartolo or whatever his name was. It's been so many years. So, you know, the good thing about that is I spent a year learning all this stuff. But the other weird thing is when I graduated, one thing I realized is that my teachers, not so much the bass teachers, but more the, like Dick Rove himself, you know, they're trying to make money. And they were basically saying that you leave this school, if you don't have these tools, you'll never make it in music. Because if you're thinking too much about Van Halen or, you know, or some of these big-time rock bands, you know, your chances are very slim to succeed. And there's truth to that. There is truth to that. It's very difficult to become a successful musician. But at the same time, you know, I think that school was geared towards the studio musician. At the time, we're talking 1984, 1985, you know, being a studio musician was a big deal in Los Angeles. You know, that's what a lot of people had to do to make money. Rock and roll wasn't a good way to make money, you know. So they were kind of right. But over at Musicians Institute, it was all about rock and roll. And our guitar players, we'd go down to Hollywood, to Musicians Institute, and our best players would kind of battle their best players, and mostly jazz. I was never good enough to be a part of the playing team, but I was, you know, a part of the guys that hung out, you know. It'd be like 10 of us would go there. And it was fun. It was a good time back in those years. There was a lot of great music being made. That was the time when you could go see Weather Report with Jaco, and you could go see Return to Forever, and you could also go see, you know, Ozzy Osbourne with Randy Rhoads or Rush, you know, going to see a lot of those cool bands too. Metallica, you know, with Cliff Burton. And funny thing is, I never got to see Metallica with Cliff Burton, you know, and he was a huge, you know, figure in bass for rock music as well.
Yeah. But when you joined Metallica, could you, you know, bring some of this stuff that built you up, you know, the funky and jazzy stuff into that band, you know? Or?
Right. Well, this is the thing, is Metallica is funky, but Metallica is funky, the funk in Metallica comes from James Hetfield more than the bass. I think when I joined the band, they respected me enough to, you know, I'm not going to go in Metallica and start slapping and trying to be Larry Graham, but I don't think it needs that. But the truth of the matter is James Hetfield, that's the secret ingredient to Metallica, is that the rhythm guitar is really funky. It's something in the music of Metallica. There's a certain groove, there's a rhythm, and it's heavy, but there's a funkiness to it. It's the same thing with this band Slayer. That's a huge influence of mine. You know, Slayer has some of the heaviest riffs in the world, and there is a funkiness to those rhythms, and a lot of that has to do with the drums. You know, Dave Lombardo is Cuban, and Dave Lombardo can't help but being funky because he's Cuban. So I always say that you're influenced by how you grew up, what you experienced. You know, James Hetfield grew up in the streets of Los Angeles, you know, probably being chased by Mexicans and blacks and gangs, you know. I mean, he grew up in a rough area. And, you know, that's probably what made him want to leave Los Angeles, you know. But still, all those things that you pull from and that you experience from your neighborhood, I believe it all presents itself in the attitude and the edge that you apply to your riffs, to your bass lines, to all that stuff. When I write, if you listen to my ideas, it's funny, most of them are actually funky. They're not, I have some heavy riffs, but most of them, you know, are great for Mass Mentor. They're great for the Infectious Grooves, you know, and there's some of it's great for Metallica, but, you know, I think that my first love is with the funkier side of bass. And I don't mean just slapping and all that. I just mean that's how I grew up. Those are my influences. So I had to actually learn how to play metal. I had to, when I joined Suicidal Tendencies, I had to learn how to play fast. I had to adapt. I used to play way up here like Mark King, and I had to learn how to bring the bass down lower, because my singer said, you know, it's really cool if you could, like, you know Steve Harris from, you know, basically Iron Maiden, he looks really cool, and you should have your bass that low, so, okay. But, you know, you learn from different styles of music and different performers, and you apply it to whatever you're going to do, and that's what it becomes. Experimenting is great, you know.
Yeah. But what are the intersection points between jazz and metal?
Well, that's interesting, because let's take a band like Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi was really influenced by Barney Kessel, who's an incredible jazz guitarist, and loved jazz music. So the difference is when you hear a Black Sabbath song and you hear a chord voicing, it's not just a generic bar chord. There's actually, you know, flatted fifths and ninths, and, you know, he's doing jazz voicings, but that flatted fifth is bringing that evil texture to it and the distortion. And then you get the drummer, Bill Ward. Bill Ward, when you hear his beats, he's not just playing a straight four on the floor beat. He's doing almost a hip hop beat. There's a song called Sweet Leaf. It goes down, down, da 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 da. When Bill Ward's playing, the drum beat that he's playing is he's trying to kind of swing and funkify it. Now, is he doing a great job of it? Maybe not, maybe, yeah. I mean, I think what's brilliant about it is the fact that these guys are trying to do something that they think they're being jazzy or bluesy or whatever that is. Ozzy's trying to sing with a blues influence. But what comes of it is magic. It's different, it's unique, it's heavy. That's the ingredient. That's what makes it special. Now, if you want to apply that to Metallica, you can, actually. Lars Ulrich is not a jazz drummer, but he grew up listening to jazz. Why? Because his father, Torben, incredible tennis player, loved jazz. Jazz musicians used to stay at their house. In Copenhagen, the jazz community was strong, and he was a prominent, iconic sort of figurehead in the world of art and music in Copenhagen, Denmark at that time. So Wayne Shorter would, you know, hang out with Torben. You know, Lars's godfather is actually Dexter Gordon. You know what I mean? People don't know that. So Lars grew up infatuated with the British wave of heavy metal and Deep Purple and all that stuff. I mean, that's his first love. But as a child, he grew up with all this jazz around him. So you listen to a Metallica song and you listen to the drums, and they're not necessarily swinging, but the arrangements are different. Why is that? Because it's more in tune with jazz arrangements. It's very different. It's not a traditional rock and roll production in terms of the drums so it's really interesting how there's this fusion between the styles, and those are the things that make it different. A lot of people, like your average heavy metal fan, may not understand that, but you know, I think it's really great. And I guess that for me, that's kind of, as a bass player, you know, I mean, I didn't grow up a heavy metal bass player. I grew up a funk bass player, more in that style. The sessions I did when I was 19 were not heavy metal. I was terrible at metal. I had to learn how to play metal and how to gallop and you know, kind of fake my way through, you know, to get by. That's what you do, you know. You want to get the gig, you want to do the best you can, get the gig and then learn and adapt.
Ja, hör mal, mit Ozzy Osbourne hat er gespielt, ne? Und ich weiß nicht noch mit wem anders. Also in jeder Menge Hardrock-Bands, dieser Robert Trujillo. Und dann hat er sich bei Metallica vorgestellt. Und
ja, ich glaube, wir haben schon in ein paar Folgen mal darauf hingewiesen, ne? Auf diesen Clip aus der DVD, ja, wo man ihm quasi klar macht, dass er jetzt in der Band ist und so weiter. Ja. Legendäre Szene. Und wir haben jetzt gerade noch irgendwie darüber gesprochen, nicht nur legendäre Szene, sondern die DVD. Ich habe sie mir in dem Zusammenhang jetzt nochmal zugelegt. Du hast sie sowieso schon im Schrank stehen gehabt. Und ich muss sagen, diese DVD ist Must-Have. Also jeder, der irgendwie Musik macht und
egal welche Richtung.
Ja, egal welche Richtung, muss sich diese DVD einfach mal angucken. Das ist einfach grandios. Wir haben hier nochmal geguckt, irgendwie jetzt hier in der deutschen Fassung steht vorne drauf mit schonungsloser Offenheit. Ja, so und das ist wirklich so. Die Jungs werden da...
die gehen sich an die Gurgel.
Ja, die gehen sich... Ja. Manchmal hat man das Gefühl, gleich hauen sie sich. Ja. Und dann aber wirklich... sehr nah dabei, sehr emotional.
Ja, mitten in der DVD steigt James Hetfield mal so für ein Jahr aus, weil er Alkoholentzug und ich weiß nicht was, Psychotherapie machen muss. Ja. Kommt dann wieder und die mussten ja dann zwangsläufig einen neuen Bassisten suchen, wie Metallica-Fans alle wissen. Und da gibt es eine sehr spannende Szene mit Robert Trujillo, als sie sich dann letztendlich für ihn entschieden haben.
Genau, und das zeigen wir jetzt mal euch kurz und dann schaut ihr mal schnell irgendwie bei Amazon oder favorisierten
rechts neben
Store.
Wenn ihr auf unserer Homepage guckt, ist rechts daneben der Amazon.
Dann klickt ihr den, genau.
Dann klickt ihr den und dann verdient der Robert
noch einen Euro.
Der Robert.
der Robert kriegt sowieso was.
Der Robert verdient dann auch.
Der Georg und der Ralf kriegen den auch ins
Wir kriegen auch 0,2 Cent.
Also viel Spaß. Hier mal kurz der Clip mit Robert Trujillo, wie er schwirrt.
Well, the second time he came back, I mean, that was for me when I noticed that you make us play better, man. You make the band sound so much better, so solid.
How do you feel about that, man?
Oh, I feel awesome, man.
You're the chosen one right now. You looked coolest.
Yeah.
We want you to be a real member of this band, not just a hired hand.
Right, absolutely.
And we'd like to offer you, basically, to show you how serious we are about this, offer you $1 million to join our band right now. And as a kind of a good faith thing about how serious we are.
It's an advance. It's an advance on some percentage you're going to be making with the band. Here's money up front to get you kicked in and inspired, and this is a reality. This is my future. This is what life can hold for me with my new family.
I can't really talk right now.
Invisible kid, never see what he did. Got stuck where he hid, falling through the grid. Invisible kid, got a place of his own, where he'll never be known. In a word, he's grown. Invisible
Ja, hör mal, Metallica, Some Kind of Monster. Ich habe mir natürlich auch direkt dann, nachdem ich den Film geguckt habe, ne, und
du bist voll drauf reingefallen.
Ich bin jetzt voll drauf reingefallen. Ich habe mir als totaler, nicht irgendwie Metallica, also jetzt der totale Fan, ich habe jetzt keine Metallica-Platten im Regal, habe ich mir jetzt direkt die Platte geholt hier bei eBay oder Amazon. Das ist gut, oder? Ich habe noch gar nicht reingehört, die ist gerade erst gekommen. Ach. Das ist im Prinzip das, was daraus hervorgegangen ist, nämlich das erste Album mit Robert Trujillo am Bass, und das haue ich mir jetzt auch nochmal in Ruhe dann im Auto oder sonst wo rein. Also das war jetzt kleiner Metallica.
Genau. Und Robert Trujillo ist nicht nur Bassist von Metallica, er ist auch Bassist mit Leib und Seele. Ne? Und dann ist er irgendwann über den Bass von Jaco Pastorius gestolpert. Ich weiß nicht genau, wie es passiert ist, aber er hat ihn bei irgendeiner Auktion oder sowas, ne, hat er ihn gekauft und hat dann gedacht, ja Mensch, aber dieser Bass gehört eigentlich nicht mir, auch wenn ich ihn jetzt gekauft habe, der gehört der Familie von Jaco Pastorius. Und hat denen den Bass zurückgebracht. Und daraus ist dann irgendwie die Idee entstanden, man müsste mal einen Dokumentarfilm über Jaco Pastorius machen. Und das ist natürlich großartig. Also alle Jazzrock-Fans, alle Jazz-Fans, alle Bassisten werden diesen Film lieben. Ja,
aber ich glaube, dass das Tolle an dem Film ist natürlich, dass er jetzt nicht nur, sag ich mal, für Bassisten ist, ne? Sondern der Film ist ja, sag ich mal, das ist ein Film über Jaco Pastorius. Nicht jetzt so Fokus nur, wir wollen einen Film über einen Bassisten machen. Es geht nicht um Bass. Also es soll ein Film sein, die Geschichte von Jaco Pastorius im Prinzip zu erzählen, nicht nur für Bassisten. Ne?
Und das es ist nicht nur für Bassisten. Es ist sehr wahrscheinlich ein Film für alle Musikfreunde und Musiker sowieso, ne? Weil der Jaco war ja so eine herausragende Persönlichkeit. Der hat dieses Instrument nochmal auf ein vollkommen anderes Level gehoben. Ne? Ja. Und es gibt viele sehr gute Bassisten, auch aus der damaligen Zeit. Aber die Alben mit Weather Report, ich meine, hört sie euch an, ja, ihr kennt sie alle. Und das ist schon outstanding. Ne? Ja. Und dann natürlich dieses, wie so oft bei so großartigen Leuten, dieses tragische, fast schon,
keine Ahnung.
Also dieses bedauernswerte Ende mit einer Schlägerei, dann so einen auf die Birne zu kriegen, dass man hinterher im Krankenhaus stirbt, das ist schon tragisch. Das ist echt tragisch, ja. Und diese Tragik macht vielleicht das ganze Jaco Pastorius Mysterium noch ein bisschen größer. Ja, muss man so ein bisschen so sehen. Ne? Ja. Aber jedenfalls ein großartiger Musiker. Ich liebe, wenn ich Jaco Pastorius höre, wie sein Bass
man hört das sofort. Ja.
Mit dem alten Vierseiter, was er da rausgeholt hat. Ja. Und schon fantastisch.
Ja, also dazu hat er uns natürlich auch ein bisschen was erzählt zu dem Projekt, seinen Part in dem Filmprojekt, was jetzt gerade läuft. Und könnt ihr auch gleich nochmal gucken, da brennen wir die Adresse ein. Der Film wird jetzt gerade just im Moment hergestellt und in den Vertrieb gebracht. Also das Interview war ja schon letztes Jahr im Herbst, aber jetzt ist es soweit, dass der Film wirklich irgendwie rauskommt, und können wir nur empfehlen, wirklich unterstützt das Ding. Inzwischen ist da auch eine Pledge-Seite verfügbar, blenden wir alles ein. Das lohnt sich auf jeden Fall. Aber jetzt erstmal zurück zu Robert Trujillo, was er uns zu dem ganzen Ding zu erzählen hat.
But at a certain time you got connected to Jaco Pastorius. So there was a entry point for you with Jaco Pastorius.
Entry point was basically at a certain point in my life. I was so consumed by funk bass, whether it was the OJs, with Anthony Jackson playing For the Love of Money, dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. I love that album. I mean, I bought that vinyl. The first vinyl I ever bought was Santana Abraxas. The second one was Kool and the Gang with Jungle Boogie, And the first concert I went to was the Isley Brothers, Fight the Power and Climbing Up the Ladder. So my influences came from that. The natural progression from that was jazz rock and fusion. Why? Because there was a heavy, heavy funk element to it. Players like Stanley Clarke, Herbie Hancock, with the Headhunters, and George Duke, and doing what he did, they were just making it funky. That's what they were doing. They got more into the jazz thing As they got older, they got back into that. But when I was checking that stuff out, I was really, really digging what they were doing. And it was instrumental, but they was also live. Like, I was at an age where I could go see Weather Report. You know, I saw Weather Report at my local concert hall called the Santa Monica Civic. And I also saw him at the Playboy Jazz Festival. But then I also saw Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, and Paco de Lucia, you know, at the Hollywood Bowl too. I saw Jean-Luc Ponty. You know, I was able to experience all that, which is very difficult now because the music's not as popular as it was when I was 16 years old or 15. So it was a great time for music. Now, what inspired me about Jaco was different. Jaco was bringing a different attitude to that music. He was up there, hair was long, no shirt, you know, jumping off his amps, sliding into his bass, powder on the floor. But then he was really funky, and he was playing with distortion, and he was breaking all the rules. And the energy of that. I mean, I'm going to be 50 next month, you know, and I look back to thinking about when I was 15 years old and everything. The energy of that long ago was really inspiring, and you could apply it to any music. A lot of young people don't know about that. They've seen it, you know, with bands like the Chili Peppers or, you know, even Metallica or whatever. But to see it through Jaco or to see it through Stanley Clarke, you know, when he was younger, was like seeing Eddie Van Halen do what he did. You know, what Eddie Van Halen was amazing. To me, it was all the same energy. Yeah.
And this was also the motivation to, you know, start the project now with the film about Jaco, you know, to bring this to a broader audience, you know, based on this inspiration, not only for bass players.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So the thing with Jaco is there's a lot of people that don't know about Jaco. You know, bass players know about Jaco, but the story is powerful. So it goes beyond bass. You know, the composer is powerful. The disease awareness of what was going on with him was also important. I've been friends with John and Mary Pastorius, Jaco's oldest kids, for many years now. I mean, I met Johnny in 1996, and at a certain point, maybe 5 years ago, I ended up being a part of the film project. And in a lot of ways, I guess when I moved back to Los Angeles, I adopted it. I don't know why or how or what. It just happened, and here I am to talk about it. And we got a movie coming out in the next few months, and it's very exciting. It's a lot of hard work. And this is not a movie that's centered around, you know, it's not Robert Trujillo, the bass player of Metallica or anything. It's not nothing to do with that. It's a movie. It's not about me. It's about Jaco. And we do the best job we can. Jaco had an extreme life. There's a lot of stories in his life. Everybody has a story about Jaco, you know, at a certain point. I have a story about Jaco. Is my story in the movie? No, it's not in the movie. It's not in the film because there's not enough time. But it's still powerful. You know, Joni Mitchell is incredible in the film. I think she's probably, her and Wayne Shorter are just amazing. Flea is great. I mean, everyone that contributed did a tremendous job. And the archive is powerful. It's emotional. It's been very difficult because I've been through 3 directors along this journey, and it's really a passion piece. A lot of financing on my part. I'm financing this project. It's not a project where you're going to make money or anything. It's really about, at the end of the day, it's about doing the best job you can to share someone's story with the world, not just bass players, but the world. So hopefully this will help others that care about Jaco to want to take that further. If there's other people out there that want to make a better film than mine, please do it because it's worth it. It's you know, he's a very special person. Yep.
Jaco was a perfectionist. Technique doesn't grow out of the air. It's something you have to work on. But he seemed that he got to the point where anything that he heard, he could do. Because, I mean, my experience is that it always seemed that if he went for something that was crazy, he'd get it every time. You know, it was like a marksman, sharpshooter.
Most critics, fusion is like a dirty word. Most critics are drawn to pure music. I don't know what pure music is. To me, it's all fusion. Well, whatever the genre can take, you know? So stretch it, pull it, bend it, it won't break.
Ja, der Film, ne? Kurz vor der Veröffentlichung, ich kann es kaum abwarten, den zu sehen. Ne?
Ja, also und wenn ihr noch, geht auf pledge.com, ja, und unterstützt das ganze Projekt, und viele Leute sagen, ja, Robert Trujillo, ja, Metallica Bassist, warum brauchst du noch Geld, um so einen Film zu realisieren? Und da hat der Robert mal irgendwie gesagt, ne? I didn't write Enter Sandman.
Da kommen wir jetzt nochmal zurück zu der, da müsst ihr mal gucken, auf der DVD gibt es nämlich so eine Stelle, wo sie mit so einem Anwalt zusammensitzen, wo sie dann die Aufteilung machen. Ja, hier, ne, irgendwie, Whitfield kriegt das und das und das, und Trujillo kriegt ja 5%. 3%.
Ja, ich meine, die 3%
wahrscheinlich
hätte ich auch
genug,
gerne.
Ne?
Ja.
Die 3% von Metallica.
Ja, das ist schon nicht schlecht, allein die T-Shirts, ja, die wir alle haben. Das läppert sich schon. Er ist kein armer Mann, trotzdem ist so ein Filmprojekt natürlich aufwendig, und es muss auch nicht auf einer Schulter oder auf zwei Schultern von Mr. Trujillo
Und am Ende
lasten.
kauft man sich die Sache ja sowieso. Warum soll man nicht vorher sagen, ich nehme das Ding?
Das finde ich ja gerade super an dieser ganzen Crowdfunding-Idee. Wenn man etwas möchte und sagt, okay, der macht einen Dokumentarfilm über die und die Person und ich finde das super, dann überweise ich dir mal ein bisschen was, bestellt schon mal die DVD im Voraus oder irgendwas, was ich da kriegen kann. Man kann ja alles Mögliche bekommen, und das ist doch eine tolle Sache. Und ihr oder wir Zuschauer können selber dadurch entscheiden, was wir haben wollen und was nicht. Ja. Wenn man dann ein Pledge-Projekt sieht oder ein Crowdfunding-Projekt, wo man sagt, das interessiert mich nicht, dann gibt man nichts. Ja. Und dann haben die auch Schwierigkeiten. Und dann werden vielleicht auch irgendwelche blöden Projekte nicht mehr realisiert. Und gute Projekte, die ihr gut findet, die wir gut finden, die kommen in die Umsetzung. Und deswegen finde ich es gut, wenn man das unterstützt. Was man mag, soll man fördern. Ja? Ja. Und ja, you get what you want. Das ist super.
Richtig. So, und jetzt kommen wir nochmal zurück zum Basscamp. Ja. Nämlich das absolute Highlight bei dem Open Day, den die Firma Warwick Framus da organisiert hat, war unter anderen Bands, die da gespielt haben, die Band Mars Mental. Und das ist quasi so das, Spaß- und Herzblutprojekt von Robert Trujillo und seinem inzwischen Buddy Armand Sabal Lecco, die sich irgendwie kennengelernt haben, hören wir gleich, und dann so ein Spaßprojekt da auf die Beine gestellt haben, mit denen sie ab und zu mal irgendwo spielen, so wie es die Zeit erlaubt. Und das war irgendwie sehr amüsant, und das haben wir natürlich auch da gesehen, und da haben wir ihn auch ein bisschen zu befragt, und das schauen wir uns jetzt nochmal an.
So you're playing with Metallica for 11 years now?
Yeah.
Does it sometimes still feel like you're the new one in the band?
Yeah, sometimes. You know, we've come a long way together. I definitely feel that there's more respect than there ever has been, at least for me, and in our relationship as songwriters. Death Magnetic was really the launch pad for this version of the band, and also working with our producer and our engineers and everything. So I'm really excited about this next phase of the journey, because already we're having a great time with new ideas. The camaraderie and you know, just I don't know, the connection is really solid right now. We feel that we're the strongest we've been, you know, creatively, and even like just performance-wise. You know, you mature and you grow together, and we've been through so much that that we feel really great about what we're doing, at least for this round. You know, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, this album, I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing. I don't know what it's going to be, but I really feel that it's going to be great. Beyond that, I don't know what we're going to do. It's like you kind of, here we are now, and we got an album to deliver, and we're going to do it, and let's concentrate on that and tour it, have fun with it. But it's going to be a little while. We get back to work in about, actually next week, we start working again. Yeah.
And did you start recording it?
We did. You know, we recorded one song, which we did tour on, and yeah, one song, 20 more to go. So there you go. We got a long ways to go.
It's step by step.
Step by step. Yeah, but we're excited to focus on the new record, and it's going to take us a while to write the songs and then record it. So, you know, everybody's just got to be patient, and we'll get there.
Yeah, we just saw your instruments there. Mm-hmm. The Warwick built a special model for you.
Yeah.
So you just saw the factory at the amazing place.
Yeah.
Where they built all this custom-made product. I think is very special for this company.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do here. I've never been here, so to see the process go down and the quality and the care that goes into each instrument is really great. I've been to a few shops, but nothing like this. Yeah. But my relationship with Warwick has really grown over the years. What really impressed me with them is that they care about the detail of each instrument, right down to even the paint and the style. And with me, I'm very particular about how I want my neck to be, and the type of wood and the type of pickups and the electronics and the weight, how it feels. And the basses are very comfortable to play. They sound powerful, and they work really well for Metallica and other things that I do. So I'm very happy with how things have developed. That's hard because sometimes things, you know, at a certain point in a relationship with a company, you know, things kind of start to fall. But with Warwick, it's definitely improved.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you also play Warwick amps?
No, not yet.
What do you use?
Fractal. I use anything.
We will not love it.
No, I'm just kidding. You know what? I will be playing Warwick amps tomorrow, and we've been investigating the Warwick stuff, amp-wise, and you know, you give me any amp, you give me a pig nose, you give me something this big, I'm gonna make it sound killer, heavy. Now, but HP's great, Warwick's great. Everything about this company is just strong and solid, and it takes a lot to really get me kind of excited about a company.
So tomorrow that will be, you know, fun.
Yes, fun. Yeah,
and it's amazing that you can find time, you know, to do stuff like that and meet. I think Armand is involved in as well. Correct?
Yeah, basically, Mass Mental is really a funk-influenced collective / band that's existed since the 90s. The last gig we did was 1999, something like that. And it's original music mostly. And just amazing. We have a singer by the name of Benji from a band called Skin Dread. He used to be in a band called Dub War, which was my favorite band in the late 90s. And then Whitfield Crane, who's an incredible singer, sings with Ugly Kid Joe, his group. But when we come to do this, it's really special because it's a party for us. And the other great thing is the songs are originals mostly. And that's cool because they've been nurtured over time and they're special. It's not like we're just jamming or, you know, but the energy of it is fresh, and that's the way it should be. It should be fresh because it hasn't been thrown at the universe and the world and digested by everyone. So we still feel like we're new and we still have something to prove. And when you're in a band like Metallica, you know, you're playing the big stages and it's an incredible moment. And with playing with my friends in the Mass Mental scenario, it's like, we got 5 people. Oh, that's good. 5 people, 10. Oh, you know. So, you know, we back in in 1999, I think, you know, we played to like, you know, 20 people. It was like we made it, you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how did you come together with Armand?
Oh, Armand and I met back in 1993. We were doing a photo shoot. We flew from Los Angeles to San Jose together to do a photo shoot for Dean Markley Strings. At the photo shoot, we had a lot of fun and drinking beers, and everybody was having a good time. So when we flew back down to LA, we became really incredible friends. And then we started writing together. We did a song for a very, very risque, cutting-edge song. Crazy lyrics. It was like the Beastie Boys gone rated X or something. But anyway, we had put a song together that was really crazy for that. It was it was a cartoon basically. And over the years, we've just enjoyed writing together. We haven't done it in a while. I think when I joined Metallica, it really slowed things down. It kind of, we kind of went our own ways, but never like, in this situation, it's not, when you go your own ways, it's not like you're not going to work together anymore. It's not that way at all. We're great friends and we're creative together. We enjoy jamming and making music. Armand's a phenomenal musician, phenomenal, and it's a joy to write with him. If I come up with a heavy bass line, I'm just excited to present it to Armand because I know that whatever he's going to bring is going to be something that I could never imagine. Just never. I don't even know where to go with it. He's so creative, and he's pulling from, you know, from his heritage, from his culture, and also from the archives of funk in general. You know, getting really deep into it. So it's just an honor and a privilege to be great friends with him and to also be creative with Armand. Mass Mental, we did a thing 2 years ago with Brooks Wackerman, has always been our drummer. Brooks Wackerman is actually on tour with Bad Religion right now. So we have a gentleman by the name of Ken Schalk from Brooklyn, New York, incredible drummer. But Armand and Brooks and I played at the Guitar Center Drum Off in Los Angeles 2 years ago, and no one knew who we were or what we were or anything. We just went up and played, and we played between Dennis Chambers and his band and Terry Bozzio and Billy Sheehan and everything, and it was so much fun to get sandwiched between all those great musicians. And they're just like, what the fuck is that? It was great. Meshuggah, you know, Meshuggah. Hey man, we just learned it yesterday. You know, yeah, we're new. You know, there's a lot of great energy in what we do, and at the end of the day, we're just having fun. So tomorrow is going to be a party. It's not a concert. It's going to be a party.
There's a dance. I know some German people don't like to dance.
volles Brett, die Metal-Packung auf dem Basecamp 2014.
Metal-Rap?
Ja, das war zwei Bassisten, irgendwie Sänger und Schlagzeug, ist schon speziell, ne? Aber ja, finde ich gut, ne? Irgendwie einfach machen, ne? Einfach irgendwie, und die sprühen ja auch davor Spaß einfach an der Musik, und das finde ich gut. Aber das Basecamp war natürlich irgendwie wieder gut zu uns. Ne? Wir haben so viele tolle Leute getroffen, und können wir nur wieder empfehlen, wenn ihr eine Karte kriegen könnt fürs Basecamp,
dann jetzt einfach, und ganz schnell. Ja.
Seht zu, dass ihr für dieses Jahr, weiß ich nicht, könnte knapp werden, aber das Jahr danach gibt es bestimmt auch Karten. Und ihr seht bei uns auch noch mehr. Also wir haben noch tolle Leute wie Jonas Hellborg, Stu Hamm, Kevin Brandon, also noch viele tolle Bassisten, die viel zu erzählen haben, viele Geschichten aus ihrem Bassleben, Jazzrock, Fusion, Rock, was auch immer. Also, das erwartet euch alles noch. Und wir sind auch total geflasht von Robert Trujillo, oder?
Absolut.
Also
einer der ganz großen Namen, die wir hier vor unsere JazzrockTV-Kamera zerren durften. Ja. Ich finde das toll. Na, das ist so, Steve Lukather damals, Folge 41. Ich weiß es nicht. Großartig. Und Robert Trujillo, klar, es ist natürlich, das sind so Bands, das ist so legendär.
Musikgeschichte, ist Musikgeschichte.
Ja, und wenn man sich die Dokumentation, guckt euch das wirklich an, Some Kind of Monster, eine der großartigsten Musikdokumentationen oder Banddokumentationen, die ich kenne, weil die so ehrlich ist, die ist so nah dran. Ne? Und da erlebt man wirklich ein bisschen von deren Leben und wie die mit der Musik umgehen und wie die miteinander umgehen. Und jede andere Band wäre schon 20 Mal zerbrochen. Nach jedem Kaffee, den die zusammen trinken, haben die im Prinzip so einen Streit, dass sie sich eigentlich nicht mehr erst hier in die Gurgel gehen und nicht mehr sehen wollen. Und es macht echt Spaß und bleiben trotzdem zusammen, weil sie wissen, sie haben was Gemeinsames. Ne?
Ja,
und das ist letztendlich die Musik. Und natürlich der Erfolg, der dahinter steckt. Ne? Und das hält die zusammen.
Aber da trifft sich auch irgendwie Musikgeschichte. Ne? Du willst mal Metallica und dann, wenn man sich das anguckt, Jaco Pastorius. Ne?
Ja, die Einflüsse sind überall. Ne? Also auch die Hardrock- und Metal-Bassisten gehen nicht so durch die Welt, sondern auch ein bisschen so. Und das finde ich gut. Ja? Und ich glaube auch, so ein Jaco Pastorius hätte sich auch Metallica angehört, wenn er noch in den Genuss gekommen wäre.
Mit Sicherheit.
Ich weiß nicht. Und weil einfach ein bisschen rechts und links die Scheuklappen öffnen und schon entdeckt man neue Welten.
Ja.
Und lernt super Typen kennen.
Natürlich. Genau. So. Hör mal, das war eine super Folge.
Fand ich auch.
Und ihr habt jetzt viel Spaß mit der Folge sowieso, aber auch mit der DVD, der CD und natürlich mit der nächsten Ausgabe von Gitarre und Bass, wo nämlich dann auch nochmal das Interview drin sein wird. Also das wird jetzt auch nochmal kommen. Ne? Und dann wird man das da auch nochmal lesen können, bei uns schauen können. So schließt sich der Kreis. Immer herrlich, oder?
Ah, wunderbar. Ich liebe es. Bis zum nächsten Mal.
Bis zum nächsten Mal. Mach's gut. Tschüss.